Have you ever looked at a really successful company and just wondered how do they do it? How do they always seem to have the perfect people, all working together totally in sync? Well, I can tell you it is not magic. It's something called Strategic Human Resource Management, or SHRM. And today, we're going to dive into how managing people went from being a background administrative job to one of the most powerful tools a business has for winning.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the evolution, from the old school personnel office to a true strategic partner. Then we'll nail down what this whole strategic approach really means. After that, we'll break down the core pillars that make it all work. And finally, we'll talk about the big prize, the incredible payoff for companies that get this right.
All right, first things first. To really get why SHRM is such a game changer, we have to look back at the old way of doing things and understand why it just couldn't keep up in the modern world. The whole idea of HR has gone through this huge transformation. I mean, if you go back just a few decades, you had the personnel department. Their job was basically paperwork and payroll. That's it. Then it evolved into human resources, and now it's become a core strategic partner in the business. It's a completely different role.
And you can really see the difference here. The old way was all tactical, reactive. Honestly, a lot of companies just saw it as a cost center, totally disconnected from the actual business. In a world that's constantly being shaken up by things like AI, globalization, and pandemics, that old reactive model just doesn't cut it anymore.
So what is this new way of thinking? What does a strategic approach actually look like? Let's unpack the new mindset that really drives success.
When you boil it all down, SHRM is about one simple but powerful idea: linking everything HR does, and I mean everything, directly to the company's biggest goals. So hiring, training, how you pay people, none of it happens in a vacuum. It's all designed with one purpose: to help the company win.
And right here, this is the absolute core of it. It's a massive shift in thinking. SHRM stops treating people as costs on a spreadsheet and starts seeing them as strategic human capital. Now, think about that for a second. A machine gets older and loses value. But human capital, that's an asset that can actually grow and become more valuable over time if you invest in it the right way.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Companies like Google, Microsoft, Toyota, they aren't legendary just because of their code or their manufacturing process. They're legendary because they figured out how to systematically build and nurture incredible human capital. Their people are their power. Okay, that all sounds great in theory. But how does a company actually do this? Well, that brings us to the blueprint of SHRM, the key elements and pillars that hold the whole thing up.
See, this isn't just a vague idea. There's a clear framework for putting SHRM into action. You can think of these as the essential building blocks for turning your workforce into a strategic weapon.
And here's that blueprint. First up, you have to transform your HR team itself. They've got to become strategic thinkers, not just administrators. Second, you make all the basic stuff super efficient, which frees them up to do that important strategic work. Third, and this one is huge, you get HR a seat at the main table. The Chief Human Resource Officer needs to be in those high-level board meetings. Fourth, you make sure every single HR practice, from hiring to retirement, is perfectly aligned with the business strategy. Fifth, you make managing people a team sport. Line managers need to see HR issues as being just as important as finance or marketing. And finally, number 6, you have to measure it. You have to prove with data how HR is actually making the company more successful.
You see, the magic word here is integration. When all these pillars are working together, in sync, you create this incredibly powerful engine where every single part is pushing the company in the same direction.
So when an organization actually builds its HR function on these pillars, what's the reward? What's the ultimate payoff for all that work?
Well, it all starts with this. You get this perfect, beautiful alignment where your people strategy and your business strategy are one and the same. And that alignment lets you intentionally build a workforce of amazing, motivated, and highly skilled people. You're not just hoping for it, you're engineering it. And that unique group of people you've built becomes your single greatest competitive advantage. And it's an advantage your rivals simply can't copy. Think about it. Anyone can buy the same software or copy a product design, but they can't copy your culture. They can't replicate the unique chemistry of your people.
And what does a sustainable competitive advantage get you? It gets you market power. When your competition can't touch what makes you great, you get to lead the industry year after year. That's the power behind names like Microsoft and Coca-Cola. Let's look at a real-world example to make this concrete.
Hindustan Unilever decided its core business strategy was a massive digital transformation. Their HR department didn't just sit on the sidelines. No way. They became a key driver of that change. Their chief human resource officers on the company's digital council. They completely rethought their hiring to bring in people with top-tier digital and AI skills. That, right there, is SHRM in action.
So I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. Is your organization just managing human resources, or is it strategically building human capital? The answer to that question really tells you if a company is stuck in the past or if it's building an organization that's ready to win the future. And that shift in thinking, that's the real heart of SHRM. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.